Hey, what's up everyone, Rupla here, and today we're going to play with the 30 Minutes Sister kit. Today we got the 30ms Tiasha, which is quite an interesting kit to begin with. Additionally, I've already picked up a couple of optional parts that I intend to use to customize the girl. Today's plan is that I want to create something Nikke-Inspired custom kit, which is why I bought the gun optional part and some armor parts. I want to give her a cool shooting pose just like in the game. I'm not sure how it will turn out since this is my first time building this kind of plastic model kit, but we'll see. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. This is what she looks like out of the box. The building experience is fun, and I really enjoy it throughout to the end. It looks beautiful right from the get-go. I really like the aesthetic of this kit. We have a nice little set of armament here, a sword, a shield, and a small wing on the back, which is quite interesting. The range of articulation is quite nice, although there isn't much happening in the torso area. Unlike a Megami device, if I remember correctly, this could be a problem if you want to pose it like a Nikke when they're shooting with their gun. But we'll see how that turns out later. Overall, I really like this kit. Anyway, we have another set of faceplates. The default one looks soulless as if there's no expression at all. The other one is... well, it's okay. We'll change that later anyway. Okay, now let's start replacing the part with the optional part that we got. First, we have the body optional part, which is the body parts type G01. I chose this one because, you see, you guys know why, right? No, but to be fair, I want to create a bodysuit effect like the one from Nikke, which is Isabel, which is why I chose this particular one because it has a lot more exposed body part which the others don't. Anyway, I start replacing the part by removing the old ones, replace with the new one, and there you go. Yeah, it looks absolutely stunning. Next is the hair. I chose the twin tail for no particular reason at all. I just like it. Simply remove the old one and then I replace it with the new pigtails we have here. Whoa, just look at how beautiful she is now. It's crazy how the whole character transforms simply by changing two optional parts, especially the hair part. She looks looser now because of the body part obviously. It seems like the body parts changed the proportion by just a bit, because the thigh is a bit larger now than the default one. The chest also got a massive upgrade than before. And yes, I'm really loving this change. What I wanna do first is to remove the seam lines all over the thigh and some on the body parts. As you can see, the seam lines are pretty noticeable here and we're gonna remove it. So I began the removal process with the usual Mr. Cement S. Fill all the gaps nicely, wait for all of it to dry, and sand it with a sand sponge. And we got a nice result here. One thing that I noticed here is that this kit has a good job preserving the joint untouched when you try to glue anything near it. Usually, it takes more of an extra effort on securing the joint when you try to remove a seam line on a gunpla kit, if you know what I'm saying. It's pretty neat, I think. Okay, moving on, so I start playing with the optional part, which is the option part 5, the heavy armor set. And here's everything that comes with the set. A pretty nice set of armor we got here. I might use all of it for the kit, except for those cloud things which I personally am not a fan of. And right out of the box, it should look like this if I do what the manual told me to do. Actually, I like it so much. The leg feels so much weightier. Too hefty, I'd say. I want some part to act as some sort of the balance for the leg. And so after I want some part to act for a while with all the parts, I go with this. I use some of the connector parts from the set that come up with, and add this little connector in the middle. I found it in my junk parts collection. I believe it's from the skull weapon set from Build Fighter. And after building it like so, we connect it to the thigh part of the kit. And we got a nice looking side skirt or booster for her. It looks really cool, I love it so much. The amount of articulation we got from this thing is actually good. It can fully rotate here and there, it's just good, I like it. And this is what I've done so far. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that I used the most basic rifle from the custom military weapon. But I think it's too big for her to hold such a massive rifle. I might remove the lower extension part, I don't know. So yeah, there you have it. Next, I want to add some shoulder armor, like some kind of pauldron. Still part of the option part 5, I take this small piece and try to adjust its position around her shoulder. Since this part has no holes in it, the peg won't fit into it naturally. So I'm going to modify it a bit by first removing the peg with a grinder, completely eliminating every bit of it. Then, I grab one of the connectors from the set and cut the ball joint like this. I then glue it nicely to the shoulder armor, resulting in something like this. I think it looks great and adds more overall balance to her body. This is where things get interesting. Going back to the beginning when I mentioned being inspired from Nikke, specifically Isabelle, it's not Isabelle without the wings on her back. So, let's create the more simpler version from plate. First, I roughly sketch on a paper to get an idea of how large the wing will be. After that, I draw a couple of prototypes for each wings. Once I found a nice design that clicks with me, I then draw it on the plate and cut it nicely with a universal cutter. So this is where things got a little bit complicated. Since my graded plate is only on a 0.5mm thick, I want to make it so that each wing has 1mm thick. And since I don't have the graded 1mm plate, I traced the 0.5mm plate cut from earlier on the 1mm regular plate and make 6 cut from the 1mm thick one. Yeah, so just by grid 1mm plate and everything is just, yeah, it's complicated. Moving forward, I designed another pattern for the outer section of the wing, using the same 0.5mm plate to add extra depth. After cutting it with the universal cutter, it looks somewhat like this. I then craft a total of 12 pieces like this and start gluing them onto the wing. Applying cement on both sides. The outcome will look something like this. Pretty cool. To create the frame that will hold all the wings together, I created with a square-shaped plastic beam. I used the built-in angle cutting guide this cutter had. I then cut 3 pieces of a different length with different angles and then glue them all with the cement to make a nice and sturdy frame for the wings. After that, I then reinforce it by applying it with another 0.5mm plate to make them frame sturdier. And it will look something like this. I still want the wing to have such an articulation like what the previous one had, so my plan is to use this default wing attachment from Tiasha. I cut the wing parts by leaving the connector intact, then I glue the new frame with cement. After that, I reinforce it with putty to make it more secure. After wetting it to dry, it looks quite nice and sturdy. So we have the wings and the frame all together. The only thing that is remaining is to put it all together. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. All the wing parts I created earlier have slightly different sizes. It doesn't look like much, but it results in misalignment when I try to put them into the frame. So I have to manually adjust everything like this. Once everything is properly aligned, I then carefully apply the cement to ensure that the cement secures the wings parts in the position. And just like that, the wing is finally complete. And finally, this is what her appearance looked like when everything is put together. It is so much better than what I expect in the beginning. She looks so badass with all those boosters on her side. Not to mention the lower leg armor on her fits so nicely. There's a perfect balance among all of the armor parts across her body in my opinion. her body in my opinion. Oh yeah, forgot to mention that the part on the top of the wings is the side skirt from Build Burning Gundam. And also, I decided to remove the lower part of the rifle to make it more like a sniper rifle. And this is basically everything what I did to her. After this, I'm going to wash her to remove every dirt and dust. And then, we can finally paint her. First, I used the Mr. Surfacer 1500 for most of the part. For the faceplate, body, and the hair part, I used the Mr. Surfacer 1500 white because I need that for the skin color. I then apply Mr. Color Lazivus Swan white peach for all the skin parts. Then, I shade it with Mr. Color Lazivus 3 clear pale red with low air pressure to add a nice shadow or depth effect on the skin part. Next, I use Mr. Clear Color GX Clear Black on all the body parts to create the bodysuit effect. I want to add some shading effect on all the body plus the armor parts, therefore, I need to pre-shade all of it with Jump Wind Black beforehand. After it has dried well, I apply the Jump Wind Hibiscus Purple for the body parts. Followed by Mr. Color Purple for the armor parts. For the leg parts, I fully paint it with the Jump Wind Gloss Black. And for the rifle, I want it to pop up a bit from the rest, so I paint it with a clean white color with the black as the secondary color. For the backpack, I first paint the frame black. And I decided to do some hand brush because I am too lazy to do all the masking stuff. Start with the same purple from before, I brush the lower part of each wing with it. Next, I apply a mix of black and neutral gray for the upper part of the wing. I'm not really great with the brushes, but I think I should have used the flat brush for this kind of stuff. My god, the brushstroke is everywhere. At this point, I just hope that the flat top coat will hide all of the strokes because it looks so bad. Lastly, for the hair parts, I mix black, hibiscus purple, and blue to get a nice dark midnight blue. I lost track of what the ratio is at this point. I just use my feeling to get the best mix for it. I then apply it to the hair. With the same mix from earlier, I add a small amount of white to lighten up the color a bit, and make it as a highlight color for the hair. Lastly, a good checkpoint with a Mr. Color Top Coat gloss to protect all the paint so far. Next, let's focus on the face for a bit. First, I add the eye decal from the 30 Minutes Sisters decal set like so. I choose the reddish crimson eye because I think it is the most fitting for the aesthetic here. After that, I mix a Tamiya enamel color of red and pink for the lip to get that nice pinky lip for her. Simply brush it around the mouth part, and after it dried, remove it with a cotton swab. Then I apply the flat top coat because it is necessary for the next step, which is the makeup. I don't know what's the proper name for it, so anyway, I'm going to use this weathering set from Hobby Mio, which is specifically made for anime figurines. I never do this kind of thing before. I just want to add some nice blush on her cheeks. I then grab the peach one on the brush that comes with it and gently brush it on her cheek. After a bit of trial and error, I then finally got it right. And now her face looks even more beautiful than before. Back again with the armor parts. First, I add some panel lines with panel line accent color black on those lines to give some depth. I brush some of the existing lines with yellow enamel color to add some highlights. For the weapon, I use some gold and silver enamel for the details. After everything has dried, I then remove all the excess with a cotton swab like usual. Next, I add some water decal all over the armor parts. Most of the decals are from the Mega Modified kit which I built a long time ago, which is nice. And after all that, finally, I applied the super clear 3 UV cut flat on all the parts except the bodysuit one. Just like I hoped before, it really hides most but not all of the brush strokes on the backpack. What a lifesaver, I really like this top coat for finish. And yeah, that's pretty much everything, and she's ready to roll out. And that's it for my work on making a Nikke-Inspired 30-minute sister. So, what do you guys think about her? I really like her so much. The color works perfectly on her. The bodysuit also looks absolutely gorgeous on her. It was a fun build from start to finish. The wing backpack thing was quite a challenge for me because I think this is my very first time making a part from a literal scratch. I am really proud of my build this time. The result is beyond my expectation. Still, there are so many flaws with my build here and there, but overall, I'm truly pleased with how she turned out. So, to wrap this up, thank you to every one of you who stayed with me until the very end of this video. I hope you liked my build, and if you did, consider giving this video a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you in the next build and have a nice day. Bye!